Well, actually, Joe Barkovich approached me about what was happening with our city and the attitude, and just that we needed a bit of a shakeup in Welland. And so we got together, and then we got a bunch of people together, and it started last year in October, I believe, where we had Mr. Patterson from Niagara College come and speak to us to give us kind of a jump start about some of the exciting things that were happening in Welland. And then the next day, we had a workshop with about 25 or 30 people to go over different practical ways maybe that we could kind of shake up the city a little bit and just kind of get things moving in our city in a positive direction. Well, I think when we first talked about it, we talked about a process, that it wouldn't just be kind of one event or two events, like when Mr. Patterson came to talk to us and we had him as a keynote speaker, and we had 200, 300 people there to listen to him and then talk about our city, just talk about what was happening with our city, that we would continue to try to move in a direction that would kind of stimulate our city in any way. And after all the feedback that started to come in our direction, we started to realize that attitude and positivity was a major factor in kind of maybe turning things around in Welland, to at least start. So we came up with an idea, the group, that we would highlight all the great things that we have in our city. And then if other people could see how our city operates and the potential for our city in Welland, that we could start changing people's attitudes that live here in the city, and also to let people outside of our city recognize what a beautiful city that we have, and perhaps come and live here. Well, the future is in process. I think that's the word that we like to use, is process. That we're trying to move in a positive direction with our city, and that includes everything. We tried not to just focus on one certain perspective of our city, like business or jobs. We wanted to look at it with a holistic approach. The caring community, the safe community, the giving community, the business community, to get people to come here to work, to stimulate the city and to move it to move us away in some ways from that mentality, that manufacturing mentality that we had once the jobs in our city were lost, and realizing that many of those jobs would not come back to our city, and then moving forward from there. So I think we also, in a business light, we focused on bringing small businesses into our community, and if we have 20 or 30 small businesses that operate in Welland and employ 9 or 10 people, then we're at the numbers where some of these corporations like John Deere and the Atlas and Lakeside Steel, different manufacturing industries that were in our city that employed up to 250, 300 people, and we still have those numbers. And if one of those small businesses leave, then we're still not devastated by the loss of jobs in our city. So I think that's, for the business component, I think that's one area that we would really like to move towards, is to get people to see the amazing potential that we have in our city. We have the Welland Canal. There's been some great things that have happened in the last 5 or 6 years here to stimulate our economy and to stimulate people to to recognize what a great place Welland is. I feel that that night has made a difference with people's attitudes. That now that when people see positive energy, I think they start to think that it can kind of snowball and it can move to other people. And now I see small ways where I think people are saying, hey, I'm going to do something now. So there's been a couple of people saying, I want to organize this event. I'm like, great, go for it. You know, do it. Is it too close to your event? No, do it. Just do anything that's positive and moving our city in a great direction. So, and the more people that get involved, the more people will find out about it. My favorite spot is definitely, I live fairly close to the canal and to the trails, and that would be my favorite spot. The whole, just walking along the canal. I'm a teacher at Notre Dame, walking by my school, by the canal. It's beautiful. It's spectacular. And sometimes when you live in a city, I'm talking about people who grew up here, sometimes we take how beautiful our city is for granted. And so that's my favorite. My favorite spot is, and it's peaceful, it's quiet, it's a great spot right down the whole, you know, on Merritt Island is fantastic as well. So that would be my area that I love most about Welland. My family is an inspiration to me, people who are close to me. Joe Barkovich, I know he's not going to like this, but he's been an inspiration to me because he's the one who always, you know, he recognizes things that are happening in our city and he wants to do stuff about it. So I think when the two of us get together, we can be a pretty good team in starting to generate some excitement about I think our next venue probably will be the most vulnerable in our community. I know that it's all well and good is fantastic, but poverty in our city is something that we're quite passionate about as far as doing something, so that as well. It's all well and good.